What up, everybody out there in podcast land? Thank you for tuning in yet again to another episode of Kane Ross presented. Yeah, I said it podcast. We are expressing with our full capabilities until they want us in correctional facilities. Brainchild of my child, I am the dad half of this operation. Ross Cooper, kind of hyped up right now, but you're going to see why in a minute. As always, I am rocking with the best. My co-host, introduce yourself to the phone.
Never underestimate the power of denial. Yeah, well, what's good, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day, month, year, hour, second, all that good stuff. If you watching on all the other platforms, thank you. And please share with your friends, family, dogs, pets, aliens, enemies, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Because if you don't, your favorite team not going to win the Super Bowl next year. Stay because you got to care about that. So let's go.
That was a perfect little segue there. That was a nice little John Stockton assist. Notice it said Stockton.
I used to
That's a
average
nice
an
little.
assist, you know.
So we were doing this on a Sunday, February 20th, 2022. The Super Bowl, the big game, is a week old. And leading up to the big game, almost as much hype as the game and the teams itself was the halftime show. It was a big win for hip hop, for the culture. Wow, wow, wow. It was pretty much all left coast because the Super Bowl was in LA, City Angels. You got the architect, the greatest producer to ever live in hip hop, in my opinion, Dr. Dre. You got his man Snoop. You got the protege, M. And you had 50. You had Mary J in there just because. And they gave us a show. Right. So I'm sitting back and I actually watched because I was at a Super Bowl party. Right. I think this is the first football game I've paid attention to in a good 2 years since San Fran went to the Super Bowl and I was sitting in the Fridays and it was on. But I'm at a Super Bowl party and of course the game's on and the halftime show was what it was, right? And I look at all of the commentary that comes immediately thereafter and then the next few days. And overall, it is just a feeling of utter disappointment. And I know a lot of folks, especially in that 35 and up demographic, what do you mean? It was so dope. It was da 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 da. And it's just, this is where being me, and I guess sometimes being you gets excruciating because you can't turn your brain off. I had to turn my brain off enough for the game, but I had to turn my brain way off for what I saw afterward. The problem I was having was like, okay, so let me get this straight. We have a league that is 70% black, 99% white ownership, 99% white head coaches. We've made progress in the line of black quarterbacks, but overall, I'm thinking at least 60% white quarterbacks. We have black culture on display yet again. Hip hop culture. It is Snoop and it's Dre and all of that. That's left coast. Kendrick. How could I forget Kendrick? I think I know why I forgot Kendrick, but I'll get to that. Um, Not quite sure anybody got paid for the Super Bowl. I know Mary J said she didn't get a check. You know, so in a nutshell, at least how I'm seeing this is we have at the very worst, depending on where your mind is, depending on how high your black fist goes, at the very worst, we got shucking and jiving for Massacred. That's the worst. Very best, we have a display of some of the architects of the culture. But I just thought there was a lot of wrong-headed conversations being had. I think it just hurt because it's like, wow, are we so easily entertained? Are we so easily distracted? Because Ross, you're too serious, Ross, you're too serious. And my answer to that when people say that is always white supremacy and racism don't take no days off. We ain't got time to be sitting up here being the hell entertained and ha 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 ha. Because if we all did our part, if we all kept our foot on the throat of white supremacy and racism, we'd move this needle a lot further. But before I blow all the way up, sir, your initial thoughts. I'm gonna let you step in here first. Shoot a few three throws. Go for
Which was those? I mean, it was cool. Um, yeah, M took a knee, which is something M would do. Shout out to M, white ally at its fullest. Shout out to Kendrick, even though they tried to censor him and not use the popo thing. We don't mess with popo in his song. Be all right or see all right if you a crip. But other than that, it's like something that I thought about that you touched on is like because Jay's involved with the NFL. Well, I don't know what involvement it is. I guess the involvement is just bringing in black entertainers to perform at their shows and stuff. But it's like, in my opinion, it's like if you want to negotiate and try to sit at the table with everybody instead of making your own table, then at least if you're going to sit there, you should give the artist the freedom to express the full song so everyone can hear it. They're not blurred out, or when Snoop starts crib dancing or crib walking, you turn the camera somewhere else so no one sees it, or have Kendrick basically say you can't say this part of the song in there. So it's like, well, it's like, Jay, what are you there for? Because it looks like you're just, like I said, happy to be at the table and not contributing anything to it, to a openly racist and sexist league.
Ooh,
That's
you brought up
run.
the sexist part.
Oh, it's very sexist.
Ooh, you brought it. Ooh.
It's
Ooh,
racist as hell.
you
Everybody
about to
knows it's
piss some,
racist.
you're gonna piss some folk off talking like that, sir.
It is. I mean, I don't care because people are still gonna watch it. Shit, I still watch it from time to time. So I mean, but it's true. It's in your face racist. Like I said, what, 89, 70% of the league's black? It's only one black head coach. And shout out to Mike Tomlin, but some people say it's a win. I still say it's a loss because he hired Brian Flores as like assistant. So that's something I expect him to do. But the goal, I don't know the numbers for how many black assistant coaches there are, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot. But the whole point of the Rooney Rule is to try to get more head black coaches, leaders of the team, the boss, outside of the GM and the owner. They're that. And we have one. 32 teams, one. So that's not a win to me. Like I said, I respect Mike Tomlin for doing it, for giving him an opportunity, but other than that, it's just
like it's just so much. I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
Nah, I'm saying, so yeah, it's just like, my question is like, what the hell do JC be doing or telling him or advising or whatever? Because I don't know. Because if the point is just to get our culture out there, entertain, but we're censoring our culture and our entertainment for the goodness of the audience. But it's a certain audience, not everybody, because so we have to be good for a certain audience, present ourselves, dress codes and all that shit they did in the NBA and the NFL now and all that, to try to limit culture to it's not good for the corporate America. And usually corporate America has nothing to do with what they would call urban America.
Until it makes them money.
Yeah.
Yeah, until when urban, because you're not old enough to remember this. I'm not gonna get you too sidetracked, but once upon a time when hip hop really started exploding, we're talking late 80s, because Run DMC was the first ones with the Adidas, right? And shortly after that, black urban culture, hip hop culture was about certain fashion brands. We shouted out, we've been shouting out Gucci and Timberland and Polo and Ralph, all these brands. And initially they was like, oh nah, we ain't make this for you Negroes. Take that shit off. And then as things started to change and they saw how much money brothers was willing to spend on it, oh, come on in, kind of, sort of, because Gucci's still with the with the
Racist.
shits.
Yeah.
Gucci is still with the shits for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But other than that, a lot of these brands, like you said, they love us now. But continue, sir.
I don't care because I can't afford none of that shit. But even if I could, still wouldn't buy it. But
bingo, that's what I was looking for you to say. Okay, cool.
Nah. If I'm spending some bread, it's gonna be built by somebody with color. But what was I talking about? Yeah, it's just I just want to know what Jay-Z's real role is, or is he just being used? Which is what I've said when we first talked about it like a long time ago when the news broke that he was working with him. And then I think I don't remember what you said, but I think we're on opposite because I think you were more leaning towards this is a good thing, and I was leaning more towards he was going to be used as a pawn, and it's kind of looking like he's being used as a pawn. So I kind of was right. So outside of that, I mean, if I just turn my brain off, which I really wish I could, I really wish I was not quote unquote woke. I don't even know.
I mean, like you said,
but yeah, I just other than that, outside of that, it was a good performance. It was one of the best Super Bowl performances. I wouldn't say the best, but it's up there. But if you look,
it just.
No, go ahead. Good.
I'm sorry. It just skews everything. I think the best piece of that performance was Kendrick, but of course that was the most quote unquote pro-black of the performances. And you just touched on something that I just don't hear. They were told, Dre was told, still not loving police, and still Dre. Don't say that. Kendrick was told, like you just mentioned, we hate Popo. Don't say that. Maybe it could be in my imagination, but every time Snoop Crip walked, the camera changed angles. That's what I was asking you. Like, so who's the plant? Who's the ops up there that was telling them that's Crip walking? Don't show that, you know. And but ironically, 50 was okay. 50 was allowed, you know. I'm into having sex. I'm not into making love. If you said that, but like no part of 50's performance had to be modified whatsoever.
Nah, because
But
it was fat shaming him, you know. But nah, go ahead.
but the thing that no one seems to be able to talk about, did we all forget who's largely responsible for the halftime show? And I get it. And please, our listeners on the left coast, do not misconstrue what we're saying. Because I hear a lot of left coasters. I've seen a lot of things in comment sections talking about how they put it down for the left coast and the buildings were actually symbolic of downtown LA or Compton. And I get that. But honestly, I think that kind of bolsters my point. We've done all of this, all of that was done on a world stage, a stage created, stop me if you heard this before, on the backs of Black people for the benefit of white people. That sounds amazingly like slavery. So it's like, and that's where we have to have the uncomfortable conversation about Hove. I knew something was wrong, and I was being optimistic. It looks like you were probably right, but I was being optimistic about this partnership. I knew something was up, though, when asked about Kaepernick, and his response was, "Well, we're beyond kneeling." And I'm like, "Are we though?" Because
it's still people dying. That's happened recently. But go ahead.
We're beyond kneeling. What exactly does that mean, sir? Because, and the thing, and it's just, how do you balance that? I don't. I'm gonna lay the facts as I know them on the table, and you tell me what you make of it. Because on the one end, you have Sean Carter, Jay-Z, crack dealer in the Marcy Projects in BK, Brooklyn, New York, for those who may not be familiar. He and two other gentlemen start a label, Rockefeller. That's Black ownership. They signed some of the most amazing acts. If you look at Kim, you look at Kanye, all the things that came under the Rockefeller umbrella and their partnership with Def Jam. That is black ownership. Dame Dash is a notorious a-hole by his own admission, but he did so to kick down doors to make sure, he a Harlem dude. For those who don't know from Harlem, look it up. But he a Harlem dude. Kicked down some doors, and he was the a-hole that allowed everything else to flow on. So he took the slings and the arrows, right? Eventually, Dame, Jay, they part ways. So does Kareem Burks, the other founding member, Rockefeller. But Jay is on a meteoric rise, and he survived the beef with Nas, and then he comes back to run Def Jam, and then he transitions. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. He becomes part owner of the Nets. He becomes married to the hottest chick in the game wearing his chain. Sports management company. So he's made the successful transition from crack dealer to absolute mogul, and finally, puts the star of billionaire solo, not even combined wealth with his wife, but billionaire on his own. Title, Ace of Spade. Look these things up if you're listening and watching them. So to a certain extent, he is the Black American dream. He did not sell out to get to where he was. That's admirable. So what I get perplexed at is and the hair. Let us not forget the hair. That is not just a funky hairstyle. That is a quiet but not so quiet middle finger to proper white society. It is the hair that free Black men wear. It is not cut, tampered with. It is as natural as it grows out of his head. That is the hair that free Black men wear. That is the hair you get to wear when white America can't touch you, where you have enough money, power, and influence to where, truth be told, you can't be canceled. So I am stuck at how is it this individual who seems to be all about ownership, all about the middle finger to proper white society and white races, be on some seat at the table shit. You was worth $1 billion before Roger Goodell called. How I don't. What do you make it? What do you make of this, man?
I called it from the beginning. That's what he's used as a pawn. And like I said, until the day comes where we make our own league and all that other shit, and we have more people of color being owners instead of every single one of them, except for one team who were born in a bygone era that thinks the way they think, what you think is going to happen? All the power is in people who are old caucuses who are probably racist. So everything that goes below them is going to be a reflection of that, outside of the players.
I don't.
But it is admirable what he did first. But hey, here it comes. We've been waiting. It's been a long time. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to yourself become a villain.
And there we have it. There we have it. Our mandatory Dark Knight reference.
There you go. I was going to use it last week, but I didn't want to. So there you go. There we go. We back. Now I feel like we back. That's normal. But all jokes to the aside, it's like yeah, you really are one of the most powerful Black men in America. So you don't have to sit at the table. And if you do sit at the table, you can probably make your own demands and stop some of the BS that they were trying to basically censor people. Your own people, your own songs. If I don't have a problem with Black performers performing at the Super Bowl, but don't censor them. I understand if you don't want curse words and all that, fine. But the stuff that you want to censor had no cursing in it. It's anti-police, anti-establishment, all this stuff. But
little too close to BLM for them. Little too close to BLM type mantras for the corporate sponsors. Wink, wink.
Right. So yeah, that's why I'm like, Jay, you that's the only part I'm disappointed. I was like, bro, you are too powerful and too smart to be the C word, a coon ass nigga. You too smart to do that. I ain't gonna go that. I'm not gonna go that route because I don't know what is being done. I'm just saying outside looking in, that's what it looks
It
like.
ain't.
That's what it looks like. It looks like you're being used upon, and that's a distraction. It's like, see, we got Jay, so now we got all these black performers out here. And we somehow brought him here. We ain't seen him perform live in like 10 years. So it's like, wow, like it's just Jay, come on, man. Come on, Jay. Come on.
That's what I'm stuck at. And you brought up a very good point when we spoke about this initially. Because I said, the problem, if we really want to jump in that bag for a minute, is where you can't have a West Coast type show and not have Ice Cube. Like that don't even make no sense. But then you said something that was very profound. Ice Cube wouldn't get down with nothing like that because Ice Cube about ownership.
He wouldn't.
Truth razors. Truth razors.
Because I didn't even think about Cube, and when you told me that was the first thing came, I'm like, Cube wouldn't do some shit like this. He makes his own movies, his own production. Everything is all ownership. That's why he left NWA. So
that's why we got no Vaseline. That's why we got no Vaseline, right?
God damn it, you said it all, Jay. Used to be hard. Now you just went so.
You know it's real when you quote no Vaseline on the air, boy. You know it's real. But I just like, yeah, why would Q be a part of something that, again, at its worst, looks like some shucking and jiving for massive. I ain't saying that's what it is, but I do know some of the super woke Umar Johnson camp definitely thinks he's shucking and jiving for massive. I ain't that far off the deep end.
I'm not yet.
I'm just not one. To know me is to know I'm just not one that needs spectacle. Like I don't need to see everything. There's a ton of stuff everybody isn't seeing that I ain't even bothered to watch because it don't move the needle for me if that's a me thing. But yeah, Cube wouldn't be part of something like that. Cube runs his own league. And it's amazing how people want to downplay it. Oh, it ain't the NBA. Oh, it ain't that. It's his own damn league made up of some former NBA heavyweights. That is not to be slept on, but Cube been with the shits. Cube was on the shits when it was election season. When it was a contract for Black America and all the Democrats told him to go away. But Trump was going to give him a phone call. We ain't going to talk about that. But Cube been about what you going to do for the people. I'm not exploiting the culture. And that's just like, it's hard to look at Jay because I'm like, oh, you just said it. You know better. We didn't introduce Snoop and Dre and 50 to a new generation. Anybody that know hip hop know who they are. So I'm with you. I didn't get the point. Maybe some cats because I don't know how mainstream Kendrick is. So maybe some cats out there that got introduced to Kendrick. But follow me on this one. If they just got introduced to Kendrick, if they're the type of hip hop fan that just got introduced to Kendrick, something telling me they weren't really fans.
If you got introduced to Kendrick, he's the newest one out of all.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, and let's not underestimate that neither. Shout out to the brother Jolly Good Ginger. Check his page out, but he pointed it out. There was a lot of tweets. I just don't feel that kind of music. It's a racially charged halftime show. But so tell me you're borderline racist without telling me you're borderline racist.
I mean, they did the same thing to his wife when she raised the fist years ago. That was a good thing.
And that's damn, glad you brought that up. Yo, Your own wife, Jay-Z, your own wife took a big steaming crap on the Super Bowl. You gonna get this blackness. You gonna get these hips, this ass. You gonna get all of that. You gonna get Black Panther, Huey and Bobby right in your face in your living room. You think Janet's nipple pissed you off? Woo, you about to be mad now. Unapologetically black. So yeah, so how your wife do this and you awesome? Just it just feels like at the best, it's just some seat at the table shit. I didn't expect that from one who made his living off entrepreneurship. I don't know, man. Maybe we got to start having some real uncomfortable and interesting conversations about Jay. You know, he made the most grown man CD in rap before 444. He is a walking image of a free black man. You know, because you don't wear hair like that unless you're an artist or super rich. Because the reality of the situation is, in a lot of instances, even now, you still have to go to corporate America, which is almost synonymous with white America, to ask for certain opportunities. So you don't get to wear your hair that way.
Yeah, white adjacent, as you would say.
What'd you say?
White adjacent, as you would say.
Yeah. And it's just, and if you don't think we're just now to the point where cornrows is cool, afro is cool, braids is cool, locks is only cool if they nice and neat. We're just at that point. So you still ain't walking up in most companies with the bonsai locks, the trunk joints looking like Bob Marley, like y'all trying to get a gig. We're not there. So I'm curious to see what Jay does next, just to see what's the trajectory here. You know, Tyra Banks boys, you were all rooting for you. we were all rooting for you. Hey, yeah, here we are. But in line with that, so they wanted to keep quiet the "We Hate Popo" line, right? And they wanted to keep quiet, "Still Not Loving Police," which is actually a different line in the real song, but that's the edited version. "Still Not Loving Police," right? Because last thing we want to do is appear anti-law enforcement. Now, oh, wonderful son of mine, as I've told you, this gets old, but the pain doesn't go away. You just get numb to it. So this was an interesting thing that happened. Bridgewater, New Jersey, a few days back. So picture this: teenagers at the mall. As some teenagers can do, things get spicy. White kid picking on a black kid. Black kid is trying to stand up for himself, stand up to a bully. I do believe stand up to it, right? White kid puts his finger in young black kid's face. You know, we probably don't know how it's gonna go. They get to throwing blows. Now, there's a couple of points to keep in mind here. They're throwing blows at each other. No one is stomping the other one out. It's not, oh shit, somebody getting their ass whooped. It's just two kids going at it, right? In 0.5 seconds, two cops roll up, two Bridgewater cops roll up, and they separate the two kids as they should. Here's where things get interesting. They immediately slammed a young black kid on the ground, put him in handcuffs, put a knee in his fucking back. They sit the white kid down on the couch and pretty much give him the just sit tight.
This is America.
Donald
Don't get just living now. Look how we living now.
Donald Glover voice. And I see this is significant. Luckily, the brother was, the young brother wasn't too hurt, but allegedly he was held for half an hour in cuffs before his family was called. You could hear other people in the audience when this was being filmed, talking about, this is because he's black. And to take a direct quote from his aunt, He was defending someone even smaller and younger than him, a seventh grader, against high schoolers. So this young man, and let me read his name here because that's important. This young man, Sakai Hussein, he's an eighth grader. High schoolers were fucking with him in a seventh grader, and he stepped in to try to step up for the seventh grader. So one, he had enough gumption. He had a little bit of that. He had a little bit of that Fred Hampton in him that he's going to stand up to an eighth grader. No, excuse me, to a high schooler. He eighth grade. He's standing up to a high schooler. Let's go, right? But this is problematic because from the looks of the fight, and you can watch the tape. From the looks of the fight, you just got two kids beefing. I'd love to know. And one of the pigs has been suspended, pending an investigation. Not sure we need to investigate here. But what I'd like to know is from that cop, both of them, because it was a male and female, both of them, what made you decide in that split second to throw the black kid on the ground? Just humor me for a second. What you run up, you see two kids beefing. And like I said, if he was stomping dude out, got weapons involved, different conversation. But it's literally two kids beefing. And somehow in that split second, you decide to throw the black kid on the ground, put a knee in his back, and handcuff him. But you didn't. What made you make that decision? What made you decide to sit the young white kid on the couch and do nothing? I'm curious. Before I dive deeper, sir, your thoughts.
To answer your question, animal instinct. I mean, we both work out. When you do something so long, what is it called? When you do something over and over again, it becomes what? Muscle memory.
All right, it's muscle memory. It's reflex. You do it without thinking about it.
That's what I think happened. Like, I know we can laugh about it because luckily the man didn't get killed.
And I was gonna say, let me be very clear. We're not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at how painfully obvious this is.
Exactly.
But we're pending an investigation.
Yeah. What's it called? Racial classes or racial sensitivity classes? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the racial sensitivity classes.
Yeah, because that works. Glad I started. But to me, it's like I said, muscle memory. When you do something and when you all have this mentality that this certain group is the most dangerous one, and we want to talk about that, about danger part soon after this, but the most dangerous of the two, and savages and animals and blah blah blah. So you gotta get them first. Because for all they know, they could have thought that the black kid started it.
Also important to note, the black kid was smaller. Continue.
Yeah.
Also important to note, black kid was smaller.
He was, and he was holding his own. Nobody. It was kind of tired to fight, but yeah, it's like it just. I mean, I don't need any more explanation. I already knew what it was. I've already said what it was. Your whole conception is from a long time ago with slave catchers and all this blah blah blah. Y'all already get that. We said that a million times, but now it just shows it. Like if you want to look up the definition of racial discrimination with the pigs, you just play that video. Because all the other videos, even though I think it's obvious too, but some of them might not be, but some of them are. But this one is super obvious, where to the point that you have white girls saying you just doing that because he's black. White girls. Now think about the history of that. White girls and black men. They don't usually tell the truth when it comes to certain stuff, but that did there. But so yeah, you got them saying, why y'all doing this? It's because he's black. It's like, yeah. That's the only reason. They were both fighting. No one was getting stumped out. Like you said, no one had weapons. You broke them, like I said, schools break up fights a million times. There was no need to arrest somebody. It's just it's a fight. Bring them up, sit them down, find out what happened, and let it go.
Either you arrest both of them or you arrest neither of them. But
Pretty
that didn't happen.
much. But you didn't do that. Like you said,
Mhm.
you threw him down, put knee on his back, and put him handcuffs and put son on the couch. Like just stay calm. We're gonna handle this. And I know you were scared for your life. We got him in cuffs. Can't hurt you no more. Hey, man. So yeah, I didn't need this, but you know what I said earlier. Um, delusion is a very powerful trait, and you know somebody's going to try to justify this and say that it
Oh,
wasn't
wait.
racially motivated. You're reaching, blah blah blah. Like, all right, like I
Which
don't know how
motherfucker?
more obvious this can get, but go ahead.
I'll tell you how more obvious this can get. I'll tell you exactly how more obvious this can get. The other kid was interviewed. It was Joseph. Joseph said, and I quote, he received much better treatment and was puzzled by it. I put my hands up like this and I said, you guys can detain me, but she said no because you were calm.
That's all it takes. Just be calm. Don't do nothing. No sudden movements.
I just
Damn.
I have not. Woo! Ric Flair voice. Ric Flair voice.
I wish we'd have figured that out a long time ago, man. We'd have saved so many lives.
Just comply. Our bad. Just comply.
Yeah, just take it.
So I just because we talked about this off air, and I said the reason I'd love to hear it, right, is because in every incident there's a escape. There's an escape route. It's oh, it was dark. It's oh, he was reaching for something. It's oh, I felt for my life. It's oh, I thought it was a gun. It's all of this shit, right? It's all these excuses, right? There's none here. None. So come on and say the truth, homie. Because not only did you grab a young black boy and put him on the ground, put your fucking knee in his back, you sat the white kid down and told him, oh, it's okay. You were calm.
I meant to say because you were white, but you know he couldn't say that.
Woo, buddy.
And
The
we became
governor, the governor has reacted, saying that they watched the video and left him deeply disturbed. Somerset County Prosecutor's Office is helping Bridgewater with the investigation. Um, there has been protests outside of Bridgewater PD, so we will see what happens. So this is where our problem lies. Like I said, we don't want to sit here and talk about the racial issues between black people and well, not whites and non-whites with law enforcement, because law enforcement in and of itself is the problem. How they treat people is the problem, but there are certain stark racial issues that cannot be ignored. So let's think about this for a second. Um, this luckily this young brother will live. I have no idea what his therapy bill will be because there's so many levels to this. I have no idea. I can only think about what happens. Like I said, my hatred for law enforcement stems from my childhood, being a seventh grader and being harassed by cops just because, right? So it's not I'm making this shit up or this and that. No, this is, and I tell you what, for any white person that thinks this is nonsense, right? And this isn't a racial thing per se. This isn't a racist thing per se. For any white person that thinks there's a problem, and you have black friends, ask them if you haven't already. Ask them their law enforcement story. Way too many of us have them. Ask them their, and they'll know exactly what you mean. The story that made them hate law enforcement, what their encounter with bullshit law enforcement was. And then maybe we'll understand. I segue that into this. Somehow, unarmed Black people can never be taken alive, by and large.
Right.
Somehow, it's. I felt for my life he was reaching. Bah, bah, bah. Okay. You need better training. Okay. So do explain to me, right? I'm going to go back a little bit in time. Sean Bell, New York City, 41 shots. 41 shots. I can see if he was standing there with a Gatling gun. No, 41 shots. Which brings us to Sandy Springs, Georgia. 22-year-old,
Georgia.
22-year-old. Georgia's wow, dog. I got no.
No.
Matthew Lance, 22 years old. He was shot twice by officers in Sandy Springs. This story has a little bit of age on it. We're talking November last year. The reason it's interesting is because the body cam footage has been released. So, Mr. Lance had killed two of his neighbors. He was nice enough to not kill the 2-year-old, but he had killed
Oh,
two of his neighbors.
such a great guy. Go ahead.
And what happened was they encountered him in a home. We're talking home invasion. Home invasion.
Mhm.
Um, long and short, they found him in a home and they asked him to come down. They negotiated at great lengths with him to come down. He finally decided to come down. It is discovered he has a survival knife, one of them big, damn near one of them big ass Rambo knives, right? He stabs an officer 6 times, once of which in the back of the neck. He is tased. It does very little to stop him. Pepper balls, if I'm not mistaken, also does very little to stop him. He is shot twice. Finally, he is still alive. Now, I am sure he will face attempted murder charge. Well, he's got two felony murders.
Oh, he ain't
I
coming
am
out.
sure
He
they
done.
will tack on the attempted murder of the officer. Sure, right? Here's the fun fact. How do you stab a cop 6 times and live to tell the tale?
How do you walk down the stairs with a knife and live to tell the tale?
Well, if we're not understanding, I don't think they knew he had the knife initially. Didn't read this. But stab a cop 6 times and live to tell the tale. He's actually going to get a chance to go to jail. And what makes this interesting? Split second choice between a Black and a white kid. You threw the Black kid on the ground, put a knee in his back. Split second choice. Your partner is getting shanked in front of you. Getting shanked
Michael
right in
Myers.
front of your face, right?
Ding, ding.
And you shoot to disable.
I didn't know they had good aim like that.
You suddenly didn't confuse your gun for your taser. You found your taser and tased him first. Somehow, there was no confusion like there was with Dante Wright.
Right, and someone was getting stabbed, and you stayed calm and was able to identify a taser.
And then like, well, the taser's not working. My boy's still getting shanked. Guess we might finally have to shoot him. But don't kill him. Just put him down. Dog, I'm just. How do you make that split second decision? You can't train this shit away. There's no amount of training to fix that.
Right. This is what I said earlier. It's a mentality, dog. How do you change a mentality?
And let me be very clear. I am not, because I caught I caught a breakdown of it on YouTube. Let me echo the sentiment of the host. I am not wishing I'm not wishing this gentleman was dead. I am not wishing Mr. Lance was dead at all. But I am saying, had he gotten shot after stabbing the cop 6 times and they used lethal force,
That would be justified
it'd
for
be
once.
absolutely justified. And also, let me be very clear. If Mr. Lance was black and stabbed the cop 6 times
It would be
and he
justified.
was,
Yeah, it would be.
but there are way too many instances, and it is sad that it is sad I can't remember all the names where black people have been executed. I said executed, unarmed, nowhere near a threat to people with body armor and multiple weapons, and they've been executed. Sean Bell, which is the first name that came to mind. Somehow you managed to have the wherewithal to shoot non-lethally. I get it. It is a very uncomfortable truth for a lot of people, and it is a very uncomfortable truth for me. But there are certain things that are undeniable. The NFL has racist ownership. That's undeniable. There's no way around that. You can't dress it up. That's undeniable. There are racists amongst the police force. That's undeniable. And if you look at the weight of these two instances, I'm not sure how there's no wiggle room here. There's no, maybe they thought there's no wiggle room. None. Because in 0.2 seconds, you put a young brother on the ground, put your fucking knee in his back. In the same 0.2 seconds, you have all the time in the world to logically, let's use non-lethal force.
Some Smokey said, shoot him.
and from the systemic racism file, Kim Potter accidentally, and I use air quotes, accidentally killed Dante Wright. This was a traffic stop in Minnesota going horribly wrong. Kim Potter yells, taser, taser, but I grab my gun, shot and kills Dante Wright. Indicted, and she got 24 months, 16 of which will be in prison. The last 8 will be on probation.
You left out one part.
Which part? Which part?
The judge crying for him.
Oh, shit.
Saying,
so this is the systemic part. This is where shit gets built in, and I'm like, you can't be serious. So in the midst of now the prosecution asked for 7 years. I accidentally shoot somebody. I don't think the prosecution only gonna ask for 7 years, but that's neither here nor there. So the judge in this case, Regina Chu, says justifies the sentence by saying, and I quote, "This is not a cop found guilty of murder for using his knee to pin down a person for 9.5 minutes as he gasped for air." Derek Chauvin. This, Chu said, calling Potter a cop who made a tragic mistake. You kind of got to admire it. You kind of got to admire it because you have somehow used the piece of shit that is Derek Chauvin and the murder of George Floyd to justify giving this chick 2 years as if you bought into the bullshit about, oops, I thought I had my taser. Wow.
And then cry. Even though I'm pretty sure you don't cry for anyone else that comes to your courtroom, that's not a pig or
This is just shades of Amber Geiger all over again.
It's like,
Oops! I walked into an apartment I thought was mine, and damn, I killed a black man eating ice cream.
and tried to cover it up.
Ooh.
Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know what more we can say. I don't know what more woke Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media you use can say.
Woke TikTok, right?
Woke TikTok, like we've all been saying the
But
same shit. Everybody sees it. So it's like at this point now, it doesn't surprise me. I just think it's funny. Cause it's like this is so damn diabolical that a system that was made hundreds of centuries ago is still withheld and being forced and dictated to the T, even now. It's like, wow,
like, what
man.
did
Yeah,
they?
real good at conquering shit and like forcing people and brainwashing people to believe that this is normal. Like this is what is supposed to happen.
Well, I want to correct you there real quick. I want to interrupt. It's not convincing people that it's normal. It's normal because they've convinced people that it's right. So because this is right, it's not normal. Because in order for them to recognize it's not normal, they have to first recognize this shit ain't right. Continue.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it's like it's just amazing. Like I said, like you got every person from the government to the law enforcement to the judicial system, the judges, all that,
The whole
all
shit.
tied together. Like everything we just talked about ties everything in a bowl. How fucking racist this shit is, and why we call this a white supremacist system? Because it was made by white supremacists. You know, the founding fathers that stole land and killed people, built on blood. But yeah, we call them the founding fathers. Go be it. Can't say founding mothers because you know they didn't really fuck with women back then. Still don't. But yeah. So it's just it's amazing. It's like when you watch movies and stuff, and you got like the villain, and you see the plans and the stuff they do. It's evil as hell. It's all that, and then you sit back and like, damn, that's impressive. It's diabolically smart and it's working. So it's like this is how I feel about America and the systems and all. It's like this machine, this matrix has been going on for centuries and it's still working. And I'm just waiting on the time for people to just, you know, start to wake up. Take the red pill or the blue pill, whatever pill it was. I think it was a red pill. And we can, you know, change this stuff. But it is what it is, man.
It's just
I just live here for now. It was my turn to go.
this is this is why John Lennon wrote Imagine. This I suspect this I don't think this would be the exact motivation, but my other favorite song is when he represents Edge of a Dream, and this is it's just heartbreaking because, like I told you, I'm tired, and I wish the numbers weren't what they were, and I also want to be clear because I get how people love to conflate things. We live in a soundbite society. So before you go and say, "Oh, them Cooper boys just hate white people," no, I don't. Not even. What we hate,
System.
I,
I clearly said system this whole time.
I have an issue. I have an issue with racists. I have an issue with those who don't understand history and how it shapes present events. Now that's on either. Now I get it. You can only be white and be racist. It's impossible for anyone not white to be racist. And if you don't understand why, we got a bigger problem. But the numbers don't lie. In the words of Jay-Z, my favorite seat at the table, brother. Um, men lie, women
Too
lie,
soon.
numbers don't.
Too soon. It's too soon. He worked very hard to get where he was, sir.
I'm aware.
It's a
Anybody can
comfy.
tell you how
It's a
to.
very comfortable chair at the table. He got the big boy chair.
It's hard, but no, I just, it's 2022, dog. Can we move past this now? Because as I've said, at least now, wasn't always the case, but now America has a class problem disguised as a race problem. And if you don't understand that, if you don't see all the intersections between race and class, like another uncomfortable conversation in the Black community. So is it eat the rich or is it only eat the white rich? Because we hate Bezos, we hate Bill Gates and certain other billionaires, but we cheer for Jay, we cheer for Rihanna. That's where those interest lines intersect the race and class. Do we eat the rich or not? Do we eat just the white rich elite or not? Because if we eat the rich, that means middle fingers to Rihanna and Jay as well. So do we eat the rich or not? I don't actually have the answer. I haven't put the brain power into it.
Well,
because
I'm sorry, bro, but they did say, you know, billionaires is a
as AOC says, Congress Bay says, every billionaire is a failure of society.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I don't have the answer there yet. I think there's more pressing issues, but that's a legit question within our community. Do we eat in our community, not being Black, our community being the disenfranchised, the middle class, and the poor? Do we eat the rich or not? Be they Jay and Rihanna or Bezos or whoever.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but you can see it's like, well, because, you know, back in history, we used to be on top, but now we've been on the bottom for a long time. So now when you see someone that looks like you back at the top, it's like you made it out the mud, and this is how it was supposed to be. So why would we punish them for this is what it was supposed to happen? But for a very long time, we've been made that it was not supposed to happen, and you know, they're trying to eliminate our history as we speak. That it didn't happen. That, you know, we were technically at the top. But
But yeah, I was gonna say, I think the problem is rich is closely, at least in this country, is synonymous by and large with whiteness and elitism. And whiteness and elitism, ironically, are not identical, but the tenets for what is elitism has been set by whites, by a proper white male culture. When you're rich, you drive a Bentley, you do this, you do that. All of these things are standards by and large that have been set by rich white men. So
yeah,
the problem is when that's what I'm like, it's hard for me to it's hard for me to say eat the rich and include Robin Rihanna Fenty because she doesn't embrace, at least not to my knowledge, she doesn't, her rich doesn't look like rich white male elite. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't look like Jeff Bezos has a yacht so fucking big that it can't fit through a certain bridge in Rotterdam. So instead of making a smaller boat, he literally paid the government to tear down the fucking bridge, and then he'll pay to have it rebuilt.
I mean, he's special because you have that type of fucking money. You can do whatever you want.
And that's the problem. That's my issue with people who believe in politics. Politicians, by and large, are for sale. So really, you believe in money, and by default, you believe in paying people off in bribes. That's what you're really saying. You believe in politics, but but it's just tiresome. And I really want to get to the point where, look, the reality of the situation is there's enough resources for everybody to eat. There's enough land for no one to be homeless.
For now, go ahead.
There you go.
Well, I mean, let's keep it real. We are overpopulated, so yeah. But go ahead.
Are we really, or I don't know? Are we overpopulated, or is land being hoarded?
It's a little combination of both. Two things can be true. Because, like I said, yeah. Go ahead. That's a whole nother conversation we have another day. But let's go.
But all right. we're gonna close this thing out. We're gonna close this thing out. We were in all honesty gonna talk about the Shikari thing. The thing with that though is the skater that was allowed to compete and Shikari wasn't is 15 years old. And I'm not gonna go in on a minor that may or may not have actually known what they were taking or what they were doing. You're
Oh,
15.
I'm not blamed. See, the hate, or at least for me, did not go to the 15, bro. She's 15. The hate goes to the freaking committee who decided to still let her perform after she got caught with PEDs, not marijuana, PEDs.
Right.
So, well, she lost anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah.
I mean, but see, that's what I didn't want to do. I'm not gonna rub her nose in it because she's 15, and at the weight of all of this.
Nah, it didn't matter if she won because she wouldn't have got a medal from what if I remember.
Yeah, from what I saw, right.
So
right.
It wasn't even a matter. So she was there for no reason. So
all right, so now you did it. Okay, so for those wondering what the hell we're talking about, Sha'Carri Richardson, U.S. track and field star that got told she couldn't compete because she tested positive for THC. Brought up a very interesting point. There's an ice skater that is white that was allowed to compete after testing positive for a legit performance enhancing drug. It's said to give you better endurance, which, you know, if you're ice skating doing something like that, I presume would absolutely help you out. I was gonna rub her nose in it and say, well, so much for performance enhancing, you bust your ass 4 times. However, this is a 15-year-old. And I don't believe a 15-year-old, even an Olympian, that this seems more like somebody told you to take something and maybe you didn't know what the hell it was, or didn't. I'm not going to sit here and say a 15-year-old intentionally took A, B, and C. What I think might be more likely, especially with the Olympics and so forth, is somebody told you to take A, B, and C. And here we are, you failing the test, and now this big ass spotlight is on you. And yes, I'm not going to go on a 15-year-old.
I don't blame her. Blame the committee.
Right. But so we're going to gloss over that, and we're going to close out little interesting fun fact. So you know we love movies around here. You know we love horror movies around here. You put me onto it. You sent me the trailer for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, right? I was like, okay, can't wait to see it. And I saw it, and I was like, ooh, on my grading scale, we do scoops protein, 5 scoops being the best. I got 2.75 because there were just 2 major plot holes. Like every movie, especially horror movies and action movies, are asking you to stretch your imagination. Like Fast and Furious is at the far end. At this point, they're asking you to stretch your imagination to the point of, get the fuck out of here. And certain horror movies ask you to stretch your imagination. Texas Chainsaw Massacre had 2 such stretches, and I'm just like, what? Okay, spoiler alert, just so you know. If you don't want to hear anything, cut it off for the next 10, 15 minutes. All right, go. Spoiler alert. There are 2 parts that I found like egregious. 1, we get introduced to Leatherface, and he's an orphan of some sort, and his foster mother is in his house, and they kick the foster mother out because they want to, these new millennial yuppies or Gen Zs move in, they own the house, they kick the mom out. For some odd reason, they get in this dusty ass van to take her to the hospital, which is miles away from this little forgotten town in Texas, right? Cool. Then in the back of the van, I swear they've been driving for a good 15, 20 minutes. Even if you only going 20 miles an hour, right? In 15, 20 minutes, you didn't go, I don't feel like doing the math, I'll just say 4 or 5 miles. Cool. You live good 5, 6 miles away, right? Leatherface kills everybody in the van. And then back at town, that maybe it's just bad cinematography or something, but the time elapsed only feels like it's been like an hour. And somehow, dude, the brother gets killed by Leatherface because he's already in the house. Fam, how did you get from 5 miles out to back in the house in like an hour? And you walked? There were no vehicles. You walked. That's one. That's my first big, huh? And then the last big, huh, is at the end of the movie, one of the original girls from the first movie allegedly is there to get revenge. She got a whole shotty. Don't shoot him. But then takes a chainsaw through the chest, gets lifted up with the chainsaw and sword, thrown a good 20 yards, and lives just long enough to shoot him about 5 minutes later. I'm like, dog, listen, I love a good movie. I love a good, oh, okay, I can see how that can happen. I can't see how this can happen. I can't see how you got lifted in the air and doing the Harlem Shake on the chainsaw. Did get thrown 20 yards, but somehow you lived. I can't. 2.75. The kills that did happen were like, ooh. So if you're a fan of horror and some like, ooh, type kills, that's worth the watch. But overall, man, 2.75. And that might be generous. Your thoughts, sir?
2.
Damn. 2?
And the only reason it gets a 2 is because of the kills. There was some good kills. Like I said, and it's definitely modern because there's a lot of modern stuff in here that just, especially the bus scene. Like I said, if you watch it, the bus scene, you know, everyone has.
That's a middle finger. That might have been a middle finger to cancel culture. That might have been a subtle middle finger to Gen Zs and their attachment to phones.
It wasn't subtle. It was sawed. Because they said, do something, I'm gonna cancel you. And they're live streaming it. And notice, like, after the dude got sawed, you saw the comments saying, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's, I don't know if you read it, but I was reading the comments.
I was trying to read, but I was watching it like 3:30 in the morning. I was tired.
I was reading, like, oh, this is fake. It's like, oh, look at this fake. Oh, look how far they're going. I'm like, son, people are getting sawed in half. Y'all think this is fake? That's how you know social media. And we question everything. We don't know what's real, what's not.
We don't believe nothing no more.
We don't. We can't even believe what's a real ass and what's not. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's like cancel culture. Like, come on, like it's like I don't remember how many. It's like 10 of y'all. He gets on there. He didn't start the chainsaw. He was just sitting there looking at you. And the first thing y'all thought was, let me live stream this, not run out the back or.
It speaks to the power. Here's the funny thing, and now we got to go in woke mode. It speaks to the power of cancel culture that the most dangerous weapon you might have on you right now is a phone. And then the chainsaw says, F your phone. F your cancel culture. Dave Chappelle style.
Yeah, cancel culture don't even work. We can't cancel the cops. Hell, when people get shot and it's on camera, it's not your friend, trust me. I mean, some things it is good to record, you know, that try to help, but it doesn't help all the time. So it's not your friend. Right. Sometimes you gotta use what's in here or this. But yeah. So that, and then like I said, the biggest plot hole to me was just like, who is Leatherface? Who is this dude? He can't be the same dude from 50 years ago. 50 years ago. He didn't look like aged at all. He looked the same from the first movie.
No, they definitely gave him some gray hairs. He was older.
He was still running with a chainsaw. And like you said, he got from how many miles back to that crib in like a couple minutes?
Right, yo, like, did you teleport?
So if he was like 20-something back then, 50, he's still like 70 years old, still moving around, strong as hell. Because remember,
right, you country strong when you break somebody's arm and stab him with the bone. Like, damn.
And then
damn, dog.
And then he was strong in one hand, and then he was weak in the other when he fought the girls. And like he fought the sister in the water, like she somehow emerged. But okay.
Well, I mean, he already got shot like a couple of times with the shotty.
So
yes, sir.
He was still fighting. He was still chasing her. So he just lost strength. Just like he had her in a bear hug underwater, strong as hell. And like I said, chick, I'm not gonna body shame her, but she's not that big and strong. So I don't know how the hell you got from out of that.
Pressure point, yo. Vulcan neck pinch. Woo,
That's what you
buddy.
call
Okay.
movie bullshit science, boy. But go ahead.
Ah,
Two
nah,
scoops.
I got 275 because we ain't saying. I mean, okay, so I seen in a short period of time we had Halloween, we had the latest Scream, and now we got this. And
You had
out of three,
antlers,
I'd have to.
but you know
I
I.
still haven't watched Antlers. Like I gotta watch it, but I still haven't watched it.
And that's a 1.5, by the way. Go ahead.
Jeez, that's why I haven't even. I'm like, I can't. I don't
Go
want to start it to
ahead.
be super trash.
Nah, go ahead. If I gotta
Oh my
watch, you gotta
gosh.
watch. Because you hyped me up. I was
I
hyped.
thought it was. Okay. All right. So there's that. But yeah, 2 point. Yeah, just but it might get a sequel. They didn't leave it open to a sequel because, and then again, if you understand cinema, this was a nod to one of the other ones, one of the former Texas Chainsaws, because they driving off thinking shit sweet, and Shorty gets snatched out of Tesla. Again, another. Not I'm thinking about this. Another middle finger to modern Gen Zs. You get
Self-drive.
snatched out the chest. You get snatched out the chest and get your head cut off.
And he's dancing with the shit. Man,
Like
my
this.
man doing the Carlton with a chainsaw, bro. What's going
Oh my
on?
god, yo.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's just so this movie in a lot of ways is a middle finger to Gen Zs.
It is.
So so you still giving it only two? Now that you see the hidden message?
It's not hidden. I knew the message. That's why I gave it a 2.
Damn, dog. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. All right. Run it back. Recap. Start from the beginning to the top of the list. Yeah, Super Bowl. I just I just expected different conversations from our people. And I'm not saying they're not happening, but I just that's maybe it's a case of they're happening is not what's getting pubbed, or maybe they're just not having these conversations. I've seen a lot more always just to show basically, oh, y'all thinking too deep. And I can't, I think we have to think deep at this point in time. Jay, I don't know where we're going. I don't know where we're going. I don't know how one of the freest black men there is on some sit at the table shit. To be continued. To be continued. I don't know. Maybe he's a plant. Maybe he's a mole. Because that's what I said. You get into the NFL, you break that shit up. I could be wrong. I don't know. Police, yet again. I'd really love to know how you justify your actions in both cases. How do you justify throwing a young black brother on the floor and putting a knee in his back versus sitting this young white kid down? And even the white kid was confused. That should tell you something. Even the white kid was confused. I really don't understand how you justify non-lethal force when one of your own brothers was looking mortally wounded. Or maybe it's just the answer is racism. I don't want to accept it. Not sure. We've seen the system how it work with Kim Potter's sentence. You accidentally murder a black man and you get 2 years for it, and not even two, because the last quarter of it you'll be sitting at home on probation. If this does not tell everyone that we have some serious issues, I don't know what else will. And lastly, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Don't take it too serious. If you're a horror fan, don't take it too serious. It's a gore fest. Take it for what it is. We might get a sequel. Your recap, sir.
Yeah. Good Jay. I don't literally want you to die, but die a hero, my brother. Don't become the villain. Yeah, the mall pigs, yeah. I was just in your face, smack it in your face, And luckily, the brother ain't die. So that was good. That's a win. It's kind of sad that we have to say that's a win. But yeah, right in your face. And then the counterpart is, get stabbed 6 times in the neck, you can walk it out as long as you wearing your Joker makeup. African Joker. You hear that, black people? We about to start white facing like a buck. All right. I'm done joke. Potter, yep, it looks like you're going to Hogwarts pretty soon. You're not going to jail for long, so you're going to be back in the Hogwarts. It's a Harry Potter joke if y'all get that. Yeah. Oh yeah, Shikari. We talked about it briefly, but they said my intention and hatred has nothing to do with the 15-year-old girl. She's 15, so even if she did take it on purpose, it wasn't her responsibility to, you know, uh, what's the word? Withheld the rules. You know, yeah, follow the rules or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, give that 2 scoops. Only saving grace was the kills and the gore fest. But other than that, story made no damn sense. Wasn't really scary. And there's a lot of scenarios where it couldn't be me. So yeah.
Well, we appreciate you as always tuning in. Ideally, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Had a ball, had a ball. Thank y'all for listening for the Yeah I Said It podcast on behalf of myself and my awesome co-host. Till next time, peace.
Yow.